Our favorite luxury brands have just launched their newest collections for spring and summer, and the hype is real. We've got bronzers, highlighters, eyeshadow palettes, all promising glow, elegance, and that effortless seasonal look. But which of these are actually worth your money? Trust me, I know how overwhelming these launches can feel, so I am here to help you cut through the noise. I've tested everything, and in this month's Luxe Edit, I'm sharing the standouts, the letdowns, and whether or not any of these new beauty releases are good enough to dethrone my longtime favorites. Let's get into it. Without a doubt, the biggest showdown of the season is between the Dior and the Chanel Summer collections. I've gotten so many questions about these collections. Which one is better? Which one should you spend your money on? And of course, lots of opinions from my subscribers. Now with Dior, their Dioriviera collection this year is a little bit more bright, fun, colorful, playful than years past. Sometimes they go for more like sandy beiges and ocean blues. And I really like that this year we see some pops of coral, pops of pink. I particularly love the eyeshadow palettes that they did for this collection. Not to mention that a lot of us have been very much drawn to the elaborate packaging and embossings that are featured on the Dior collection this year. They really brought it with the whole design and vibe of the Dioriviera collection. Now Chanel, on the other hand, they have gone for more clean, simple, elegant sunset vibes, and this collection definitely is very warm leaning. I would also say that this collection is a little bit more pigmented than we're used to seeing and kind of deeper leaning than we're used to seeing from a lot of Chanel collections. Les Beiges is supposed to be very kind of bronzy and summery, but I will say this collection does lean a little bit dark, and it certainly leans very warm. Now, of course, there are pros and cons of each collection, but I really feel like Dior won the battle this season. And it's not because of the packaging and because of the embossing, because I already mentioned in my full review of this collection that I really don't think you should buy this for the embossing. It wears away after you use the product just a couple of times. It's really not going to last. You should buy the products from this collection because they're actually really good. I love the color selection of the eyeshadow palettes, of the coral luminizer. I like the playful colors. I feel like this collection is everything that I want from something around the spring and summertime. Something that is easy to use, that is wearable, but still a little bit different because it is a seasonal collection. I love the playful colors that they selected with the coral and the pink. And yes, I know Chanel is doing a coral and a pink cream blush for their summer collection this year, but I feel like the rest of the collection is kind of just something that we've seen from Chanel before. I don't really think that a lot of the products stand out to me, whereas with Dior, I feel like they really brought it this season. So between these two collections, what are the standouts and what should you skip? The first standout to me are the eyeshadow palettes in the Dioriviera collection. As I've already mentioned several times already in this video, I love the pops of coral and pink. And if you saw my review of this collection, then you'll also know that there are several shades in each of the palettes that have a little bit of like a soft shift to them. I just love the nuance of these shades. And I also feel like the formula is really good from Dior, which we all know is a little bit inconsistent sometimes ever since they reformulated them to be talc free about a year or two ago. I also really like the Coral Glow Luminizer. I've been using this almost every single day as kind of like a blush topper. It gives a beautiful, vibrant, corally summertime flush to the cheeks. And I'm pretty fair. I'm usually like, you know, within the first 3 shades on the foundation spectrum. And I don't feel like this is too much for me. I just buff this into the skin with a fluffy brush. I can use this as an eyeshadow. And I did a bunch of comparisons for you all in my review, and you will see it is a pretty different color from the other luminizers that they've launched in the past. And trust me, I have almost all of them. Not to mention that you also get the super cute packaging. Maybe a little bit boring to some, but I also love the nail polishes from the Dioriviera collection. I cannot wait to get my pedicure this weekend with this one, which is called Coral Pop. And then the color Sienna. This is just the perfect summertime nude. It's like this beautiful kind of reddy bronze. Very unique and very flattering. From the Chanel collection, the standout to me is the newest addition to the Les Beiges eyeshadow palette line, which is the Golden palette. To my knowledge, this is going to be a permanent product, so you don't have to rush out to get it. I don't think it's going to sell out. It should be staying around around. I think this is beautiful for summer if you want something that's going to be seasonal. This is very warm, okay? It's very warm. I love warm tones and I think it is gorgeous. It's everything that I love about the Les Beiges line from Chanel. It's nothing groundbreaking, okay? It's not like a groundbreaking color story, but you can really rely on these palettes for a beautiful, simple, easy, everyday type of makeup look, whether you want to do something very light or even if you want to take it, you know, a little bit day to night, you definitely have the options in this palette. And I do kind of like that this one is a bit more pigmented than some of the other ones that they have in their lineup because they already have the softer tones in there, and this one just brings a little bit more kind of richness to the line that they didn't have before. Oh, and by the way, if you happen to be enjoying this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It really helps me out. And if you are new here, maybe consider subscribing to my channel. My name is Sophia and I upload new videos just like this every single week, all about everyday beauty and accessible luxury style. As you can see, I am so passionate about luxury beauty and helping you not waste your money on things that are totally not worth it. So if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button to join our fam. We seriously would love to have you. And as a reminder, guys, everything, including all the makeup that is on my face, everything that I mentioned in this video, it's all going to be linked in that description box down below. And then which products should you skip? Well, from the Dior collection, I definitely think it is the bronzer. This is trying to be so many things. It seems like it's going to be the super useful multi-purpose type of product because you have a bronzing powder, you have a glowy bronzing powder, you also have a blush tone in there. You can choose between the pink or the coral, but at the end of the day, guys, it just looks like a bronzer on the face. It really is not multi-purpose. In trying to be everything, it's basically nothing. It's nothing special. And between the pink and the coral, they basically look the same. The depth is exactly the same. So it's really only going to work for a certain number of people. I feel like a lot of people bought this. And by the way, this was the sellout product of this collection. It was gone immediately. I feel like a lot of people got this because the embossing is just chef's kiss, so gorgeous. But as you can see, it is gone. It is gone. So don't buy it for the embossing. Your money is better spent just buying one of the bronzers from the main line. Buy the shade that just works perfectly for your skin tone rather than spending money on this and it not being exactly the tone that you need. Also from the Dior collection, I feel like many of us can skip the lip products. I know I did because at the end of the day, the lip maximizers, the lip oils, it doesn't matter what the shade is. A lot of times they all just look pretty similar on the lips. They have like a yellow lip oil, they have a blue lip oil, and they look great. And I'm sure they are, but if you already have even one in your collection, you're probably good. The blue one isn't gonna look that different from the yellow one. It really is just, it's pleasing to look at. It's very pleasing to the eyes. I feel like you can skip those. Not that the products are bad, it's just if you already have those lip glosses and lip oils, I don't really think your dollar is best spent on the new ones from this collection. And finally, the Chanel Healthy Golden Glow Powder Duos. These are not a bad product. If you saw my full review of this collection, then you will know. I like the way that these look on my cheeks. In fact, I have the deeper one on my cheeks today, and I think it imparts a beautiful glow to the skin. But all that being said, for $75 for a seasonal collection, I kind of was expecting more from Chanel. Maybe it's because Dior is giving us just so much this season. I was a little bit let down by Chanel. There are several other releases that have come out over the past couple of seasons from Chanel with very similar colors, similar textures. In fact, I would argue better colors and better textures. We've seen this before. You probably have something like this in your collection already, whether it be a glowy blush, whether it be, you know, a champagne highlighter. And I know a lot of my subscribers who have a fairer skin tone like myself, they are a little bit disappointed, particularly in this duo, because this highlighter, it's very warm and I don't think it looks too dark on my skin tone, but I feel like a lot of you, your feedback has been that this is too deep for your preferences. So I feel like there are a lot of Chanel customers out there that are kind of disappointed. Overall, these were just kind of like a meh release for me. I feel like a lot of the ones that they've released in the past, they just have more unique colors, more nuance, and in general, a better formula as well. But don't you worry, we are not done with Dior because I'm also throwing into the mix the Dior limited edition eyeshadow palettes that were also recently launched this month. I don't know what this collection is actually called. I'm just calling it the Kanage eyeshadow palettes because these do to feature the Kanage quilting on the limited edition component and also the embossing on the eyeshadows itself. So I'm just gonna call this the Kanage collection so that we don't get mixed up here. This has been hands down the hottest release of the season. And I do think it is because, number one, it's a new formula. And I think a lot of us who are Dior lovers out there, we were very curious about this new creamy formula from Dior. Is it good? Is it better than what we've tried before? And also I think because these colors are very, very basic, very, very safe for every day. So I feel like when customers look at this array of palettes, there's at least one that they're drawn to, whereas the Dioriviera collection is a little bit, I mean, it's totally seasonal, right? I received a lot of comments about the packaging. Some people saying they were disappointed, some people saying they were really excited about it. I really do think that the packaging drove a lot of sales. I think the whole campaign with the very classic Lady Dior bag, I think that very much appeals to the Dior customers. So I think that played a big role in the popularity of these palettes. My opinion of the packaging is that it's fine. It's not very impressive to me. At the end of the day, like, it's still plastic. It's not embellished with rhinestones like the Guerlain ones. It's not upholstered like a little bag like the YSL ones. It's fine. I had somebody comment on one of my videos saying, it's not leather, guys. Just so you know, it's not leather. I would love to know, comment down below, did you think that this was gonna be leather as opposed to plastic? Because I thought it was gonna be plastic, but I would love to know. Just so you know, it's not leather, it's not even pleather. Like, if they did do leather, it would probably be like this. It would be like the luminizers or the bronzers. This is very much plastic that's been embossed to kind of look like leather. It's not bad, but it's not knocking my socks off. I am literally escaping the sun right now. It is so sunny in my room this afternoon, so if I look a little bit flushed, if I've shifted the camera a little bit, I am so sorry about that. Hot in my filming room today. But anyway, back to the Dior palettes. The formula is really, really nice. It is a new formula. I don't know why it's limited edition because this formula is fantastic. It is creamy as opposed to the sort of like drier, more blendable, satiny type of formula that we're used to from Dior. They managed to make something that is talc-free, creamy, and looks very soft and smooth on the eyelids, but also is very blendable because sometimes when you get those creamy formulas, they're kind of like hard to blend, like they stick to your eyelid. This is not like that. I think the formula of these is fantastic. Although if you saw my review of these, then you will know I'm not super happy with the finish of every single shade in these eyeshadow palettes. Some of them have like little micro glitters. So for me, it's not a complete slam dunk. Also, while the formula is very good, it really is not unique. It is pretty much the same or similar at least to the YSL Mini Couture Clutch palettes. It's very similar to the Prada formula as well. So if you just bought one of the neutral ones from the Prada line, I really don't think you need this unless for some reason you were very unhappy with the color story that you purchased. I also think that the Byredo formula is pretty similar to this as well. So if you have like the Remembrance palette or the Mineralscapes palette, there's lots of neutrals in those palettes that you can use to create a very, very similar look. At the end of the day, I think this was a pretty good release and it actually makes me very hopeful and excited to see what Dior does next, especially in terms of the formulas that they're going to be releasing. But is this a must-have? No, I don't think so. If you're a beauty lover and you have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, if you've been shopping from, luxury beauty for a long time now, I'm gonna say you can totally skip these. If you don't have a lot of eyeshadow palettes or this is your first time trying Dior, then I would say this is probably a really nice place to start. Oh, okay, we are done with Dior. I want to talk about the eyeshadow palette that I have on my eyes today, which is none other than the new Victoria Beckham eye wardrobe in the newest colorway, which is called Bordeaux. She just released these palettes. She released 4 color stories and I did purchase all 4 of them. I'll link the video down below where I reviewed the other color stories if you want to check that out. And then just a couple weeks later, she came out with this new color story. Now, if you're not familiar with this formula from Victoria Beckham Beauty, it is different, obviously, from the formula that she used to have. Now, just as a quick recap, this new formula from Victoria Beckham Beauty is, I would say, more pigmented than the original. I also think it is more buildable. And a lot of these metallic shades have a more intense metallic sheen that I really like. I don't think it's better or worse, but I do really like this new formula. I think the biggest issue that a lot of us had with the release of these palettes is that they're pretty much all smoky eye palettes, especially if you have a fair skin tone like myself. You don't really get anything super soft, or what I guess a lot of us would consider everyday. So I feel like a lot of us, we were just waiting for maybe a lighter tone palette, maybe just something a little bit softer, and that's not what we got. That's not what we got with the Bordeaux palette. So I'm just gonna be perfectly honest, guys, this one is not lighter at all than the other ones that she just released. All of that being said, I do think this is an absolutely beautiful palette, and I love the looks that I create with this. While it is on the warmer side, obviously it's called Bordeaux, so it's gonna have kind of like a reddy undertone to it. It's not so red where it looks ridiculous on my eyes. My eyes don't look sore. I don't think I look sick. I feel like these reds have a really nice like brownie undertone, and she paired the two shades that have that Bordeaux color with a stunning soft gold satin, and then you have this rich chocolate brown, which is just very easy to use, whether it be, you know, in the crease or a liner, etc. It's a really beautiful palette, so I do recommend this if this is a color story that you are into, but I think a lot of us were hoping for something a little bit lighter. Oh, and also, how is this spring? Is this a spring release Victoria Beckham? Because this looks very autumnal to me. I guess you could say that this is summery because this is kind of like a, I mean, it's warm tone, right? So it is kind of like a summery smoky eye. Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know. But a lot of my subscribers told me this is something that they would purchase for fall. Like if it was the fall season, they'd be snatching that up. But it doesn't really seem like a lot of us at the moment are in the mood for these shades. So I totally get it. But as for me, I think it is a really beautiful palette. I just know that I'm gonna get so much flack for this. I am bracing myself for the comment section of everybody telling me that I'm wrong, but I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't like this powder. I got this in the Sephora sale. This is the Givenchy Prism Libre 4-color pressed powder. And listen, maybe it's my fault because I bought a matte pressed powder and it is marketed very clearly as a matte pressed powder. Everybody told me it would be, and I have dry skin, and I think this makes me look so dry. I find this to be very cakey on my skin. At first I thought it was some of the other products that I was testing, and then I realized, wait, no, it's the powder. Every single time that I use this, I feel like I look like a mummy. Like everything, all the moisture just like sucked out of my skin. So I guess it's doing a good job of mattifying. And I will say it does brighten like my under eyes pretty well because it is a lighter color than a lot of the other flesh tone powders that I have. But I don't like the formula. Every time I use this, it just looks so dry and textured on my face. I wish I hadn't powdered in the first place. Comment down below. Let me know if you think that this is good. Were you a fan of the OG Prism Libre powder? Because I'm reading the non-incentivized reviews on Sephora, and a lot of other people are saying that it's very drying on their skin, and a lot of people are complaining that it is not like the original, which I guess I would expect, right? Because it's talc free. Like it's never going to be exactly like the original, but I was expecting it to be, I don't know, somewhat good on my dry skin, but for me, it's just a no. However, I will say, and this is not a new product, but it is new to me, I also purchased this in the Sephora sale. I have been liking the Westman Atelier powder. This is called the Vital Pressed Skincare Powder, and this is in the shade Pink Bubble. I much prefer the formulation of this. It is like night and day. This actually looks really smooth on my skin, and I will admit, I don't know if this is the best shade for me. I think the Givenchy one brightens more because it is a lighter color, but all that being said, I think the formula of this one is really nice. And I know it sounds crazy, guys, but when I swatch this on my hand, whether it be for, you know, like a demonstration for this video, or if I'm just kind of smoothing the powder on the back of my hand before going in with the powder puff, I go back to touch my hand and I swear it feels like silk. It feels moisturized, and I've never experienced that before from a powder. I am testing out, by the way, the La Prairie ones. I have both the loose powder and the pressed powder, so Stay tuned, friends. Maybe we should have a little bit of a powder showdown. But anyway, as far as the Westman Atelier powder goes, this formula I think is where it's at if you have dry skin. I've been really impressed with this one so far. I think it's really good. So I prefer this one over the Givenchy. I have here another Sephora sale purchase. These are the Sarah Creal Just Like Paradise Cream Bronzers. I got so many requests to review these, to swatch them, to compare them, and I'm not gonna lie, I was intrigued myself. This whole brand in general has very much intrigued me, so I've been testing out a couple of her products. This one in particular, it's not bad, guys, but it's not my favorite. In fact, I'm kind of thinking of returning these. I gotta be honest, I don't think that these are that great. They are a very slippy, very emollient formula, and when it comes to cream bronzers, I just don't like something that is that dewy, that glossy. I prefer something that is obviously like creamy and blendable. Like I don't want it to be drying, I don't want it to be patchy or anything, but I don't want it to be something that like my hair gets caught in, and that's what I get from these bronzers. I wasn't really sure what shade to get, so I ended up getting shades 1 and shade 2. Shade 1 is a really nice subtle tone for fair skin. I actually really like this shade. However, I do want to mention, I think this is going to be warmer than some of you think that it's going to be. When I looked at these shades on the Sephora website, I thought that they looked much more neutral. This is a little bit warm, but I do like the shade, especially on my skin tone. However, like I said, I don't like how shiny and greasy this formula is. That's really what kills it for me, not the shade. If you are looking for a nice subtle cream bronzer for fair skin that is not as greasy and emollient, I highly recommend the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream, specifically, at least for my skin tone, in the shade Laguna 01. This is going to be, yes, more pigmented, as you could tell by the swatch, but you can easily sheer this out with a light hand. It looks beautiful on the skin. I feel like I never overdo this. It's creamy and it gives that nice moisturized look that I want from a cream bronzer, but it's not, you know, greasy, and it doesn't disturb my foundation. I can layer blush on top. This is one of my all-time favorites, and it also smells amazing. It smells like a new Barbie doll, like one of the Malibu ones or like the mermaid one. You guys know what I'm talking about, like that subtle tropical scent. It smells amazing every time that I use it. It's just a great product, and even if you don't have a fair skin tone, they have a really good range of shades to choose from. Overall, this is one of my favorite cream bronzers, and it is cheaper than the one from Sarah Creal. The other one that I would recommend is the Glossier Cloud Paint in the bronzer shades. For this one, you specifically want to go with the shade Sail. That is also very similar and doesn't break the bank. It's a really good formula, nice and creamy and hydrating, but not greasy. And then this is shade 2, which is considerably darker than shade 1. You guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments down below. I like to use this one as more of a contour bronzer because it is darker and because it also looks cooler in tone. But when I apply this to the hollows of my cheeks, is it just me or does it pull kind of like warm or rosy? It doesn't look as cool tone as I think it's going to be. Maybe there's some weird undertone in this that I'm not noticing. It could be also that because it's so emollient, it's kind of pulling or removing the foundation stick that I had on underneath. It could be doing that, and then you're just seeing some of my natural redness come through. I don't know, guys, but I also don't really like this shade, don't really like the formula. And if you want something comparable to that, I would recommend the Glossier Cloud Paint in the shade Swept. That one is really good if you want a cool tone, especially for like the contour bronzer type of look. And also the Westman Atelier bronzing drops that just came out. I would much rather get those than these from Sarah Creal. I love those bronzing drops. The first shade, which is the one that I have, is pretty similar to shade 2 from Sarah Creal. So again, if you want something that's more neutral, but not greasy and still like really nice and subtle for fair skin, I would go with the Westman Atelier. And while we are here, while I know these products are not brand new, I figured I would let you guys know my thoughts on the Sarah Creal, what is this called? The Brilliant Repair Shield, basically the glowy sunscreen, and also the concealer. Starting off with the Brilliant Repair Shield, I also think that this is not worth it. It is not a bad product, but similar to the bronzer, I feel like this is just a little bit too greasy for my liking. I like the glow that it imparts, but I would prefer that the glow came from more pigment as opposed to the shine that this gives my skin. So I'm gonna use this up, but I'm not gonna be repurchasing this because it's so expensive for 1 ounce. Yeah, I just feel like it's a little bit too greasy, especially here. It gets really, really hot in the summer. I can't really see myself wearing this. What I've been liking instead, and this was recommended to me by a bunch of my subscribers in my membership program, this is the In Beauty Project Mineral Sun Glow. This stuff is so good. It is a much better value than the Sarah Creal, and it is giving me exactly what I want, which is not as much greasiness, but just as much glow. You get 70% more product, and I believe there are 3 shades. I got the medium one because I wanted a little bit more of like a tanner look. I would definitely go to Sephora and check out the other shades. I still very much like my RMS Supernatural Radiance Serum. I think that that gives even more of a glow, but if for some reason you couldn't find a good shade in that range, if you don't like the packaging, if you want something that's a little bit more affordable, then I would check this out because I think it is just as good. It's just not quite as glowy as the RMS. Now the concealer, I kind of feel the same way. Like, none of these products are bad. They're just not my favorite, and they're very expensive. So I don't think I would spend the money again if it's not the best of the best. I hear a lot of good things about this concealer, but for me, again, while I don't hate it, I just don't think it's as good as a lot of the other luxury ones that I have. It's so expensive. The packaging is really beautiful, but I find it a little bit difficult to blend, and then it always settles into my fine lines. Like, no matter what I do, no matter how little I use, it always settles into my fine lines, and I don't want to have to powder it because then my under eyes look very dry. I don't want to have to powder something so that it doesn't settle into my fine lines. I feel like it does a good job of like stretching across the skin, but then in doing so, it just kind of settles into everything that I have going on down there, and so it's fine, but it's not my favorite. It's not going to be in my best of the best. What I have really been liking, however, is the Westman Atelier concealer. This is another product that I purchased in the Sephora sale, and I swear this is not an ad for Westman Atelier. I bought a lot of their products during the Sephora sale because they're very expensive, and I really wanted to test out a lot of things that I have been just getting a lot of questions about from my subscribers. And a lot of people were asking me like, oh, which one do you like better, Sarah Creal, Westman Atelier? Hands down, the Westman Atelier. This is a great concealer. It's so moisturizing. It's not as brightening as my beloved Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer, but I think that this is top notch, especially if you have dry skin, mature skin, if you have fine lines and wrinkles, it's not gonna settle into them. It's a really good concealer. It's a really good concealer. I've very much been enjoying this, so I've just been reaching for this one more than the Sarah Creal. Up next, we have the Prada mascara and also the new Makeup by Mario mascara. I'm going to sort of review these together because I think seeing the comparison between the two will help you better understand the traits of each. Now, the Prada mascara, first off, the packaging is so luxurious and legit. I love the textured tube, and the wand is very interesting. Some may say a little bit gimmicky. Instead of being a traditional like 360 wand with like the little spikes coming out, it almost looks like a brush, almost like you would brush your lashes instead of combing your lashes. And because the brush is shaped this way, what you end up getting is a very kind of long, fluttery lash. Hopefully you can tell from the demo. The pigment gets deposited mostly at the base of the lash. And because you don't have the long bristles from this brush to kind of comb that out, what ends up happening is that you get like a very tapered shape to the lash. Does this make any sense? So you get this long, fluttery look where you have a thicker lash base and then a kind of wispy, thinner tip. So I think if you like length, then you're really going to like this. I find this mascara it's good. It's really good for that type of effect. I mean, I think that my lashes look absolutely beautiful with this, but it is a little bit finicky to apply. I feel like it takes longer to apply the mascara. It's also a little bit difficult to apply it to my lower lashes.
shoot.
So this isn't going to be the mascara that I reach for when I'm in a hurry. I think that the formula is good. I don't have too many complaints about this mascara. It's just kind of like not bad, but also not my favorite. This is gonna be something that I reach for when I want this like really natural, fluttery type of look. If you're going for something very voluminous, I don't think that I would grab the Prada mascara, but comment down below what's your experience with this, because that has been my experience. The Makeup by Mario, on the other hand, this is gonna give you a lot more volume. You're gonna tell immediately from the demo and the comparison with the Prada. This just deposits a lot more product quicker, more immediately to my lashes. And this is the type of brush that I prefer, something that's like long and tapered. This makes it a lot easier to get into like all the little nooks and crannies. If you wanna get a little bit more like on the inside or the outside, it makes it easier to do the bottom lashes. I feel like I have a lot more control with this one and I get a lot more volume. However, the one thing that I don't really like about the Mario is the longevity. I feel like anytime I do pretty much anything different than like sitting here and filming videos all day, if I go out, if I do errands or anything like that, I feel like it smudges. It smudges up here on my brow bone. Sometimes I get a little bit of flaking. So I love the look of this mascara and I like the shape of the wand, but I don't think the longevity is there for me. I can get the same thing with extreme longevity and very easy removal process from my beloved Hourglass Unlocked Instant Extensions mascara. That is one of my all-time favorites, or even like the Cali Ray mascara. This really isn't all that unique. The Prada one is unique, but I also don't think it's worth like splurging on. If you can get this on sale, try to get it on sale. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe, or better yet, go watch another video. Up next, I have the 10 overhyped beauty must-haves that totally missed the mark. I'll see you there.